Good morning. Sitting with Peter McMindes of Rockfish Brewing today. We're going to talk about his history, the business here a little bit, and without further ado, we're going to get started. So simply, Peter, where'd you grow up?
I grew up all over the place. I was out west for my, early elementary years, so Oregon, Washington, that area, and then for middle school and high school I was in Pennsylvania. I'm in Florida for college, so then back up to the Mid-Atlantic. Post grad school for, last 23 years now.
Okay.
24 years.
What'd your parents do for work?
My mother's a veterinarian, so she owns a practice down in Florida still, and she is trying to retire, so looking for buyers and stuff, and super busy. So it's one of those weird dichotomies where it's hard to find buyers for practices, but it's slam busy all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just kind of standard family vet practice, dogs, cats?
Yeah, small
birds?
animal. Mm-hmm. Yep. 2.5 doctor practice, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any siblings?
Nope. Just single parent, single child.
I understand
small
that.
Family.
my sister doesn't want to hear this, but I still consider myself an only child because for 17 years it was just me.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm ready to leave and go to college, and then my sister showed up. So
you're a way older brother than
yeah, it's totally different. All right. Have you ever been married?
Married?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Children?
Married. Yeah, 2 children. Both about adults now. So
Excellent. What brought you to Central Virginia?
Charlottesville, my last career. That was a field-based position, so I had an option to either, and we were covering geographic swaths of land in terms of the management. So I had a choice of either going north or south from the Baltimore area, and I didn't want to go kind of to the cold north. So I was familiar with Charlottesville. I didn't know I didn't want a big city, but I wanted something, I guess I was used to college towns. I was born in Logan, Utah. I lived in Corvallis, Oregon, Pullman, Washington. So those are all where the colleges are, Eugene, Gainesville, Florida, stuff. So, I like college towns, and I thought Charlottesville, it was about 2002, I guess, when I moved here. So, the town has changed a lot, but...
It has.
It's grown a lot, but it still maintains its coolness. I like it.
Yeah, like you, I came in the end of 2001.
Okay.
I came in August of 2001 for grad school and then never left. So
Right.
I understand.
Yeah.
What'd you want to be when you were 5?
I don't know. Probably a veterinarian or something like my mom.
Yeah.
I think, or a businessman like my grandfather. Yeah.
What's your favorite movie or book?
Oh, geez. Well, I always liked Heart of Darkness, which is a great book. It's a Joseph Conrad book, so kind of a classic. As far as classic books go, so I always liked that one a lot. That was intriguing. Movies, oh geez, I could go across the board, there's a lot of movies I like, but I do like Coen Brothers movies. Big Lebowski is a fantastic movie. I feel like kind of more like a good one-liners. So
I'm with you. For me, it's still Raising Arizona. You just go to the OG on that.
Yeah.
It's just so fabulous.
The soundtrack. Yeah. And the patio.
Oh man. Mm-hmm. So, what are your hobbies other than what was a hobby and is now your business?
I've got a lot of hobbies. I'm really big into hiking, so I do a lot of backpacking. A lot of backcountry, stuff like that. Weird camping, like in the middle of winter and things like that. I like to cook, so I do a lot of cooking and creating there. I like to do a lot of woodworking, so wood shop. Try to find pieces of wood that I find on my hikes and things like that. And then, other than that, just kind of traveling. I can't say that's a current hobby because I've had no time to do any traveling. But and then before this, my home brewing, and so it's just the one hobby I turned into a profession.
Sure.
Sort of things.
If you had the luxury of hitting the $400 million Powerball at some point, what would you do?
I'd probably just pay off anything I need, buy a nice building, and then just come in and brew beer and just pay all my people really well, and then go on trips. Travel around and come back to brew beer.
Yeah, live the dream. I totally get that.
But I still want to serve. I love making beer.
Yep.
So, it's definitely something I like to do. But I would definitely get a boat, maybe. Travel around.
What prompted you to take the hobby to the business?
Well, I've been kind of looking into doing a brewery for, I'd say, a good 5 years prior. But I guess timing-wise, kids' age, just what I was doing in my last career, just didn't quite sync up, and wanted to have, because once I started doing this, it was just like no time whatsoever, and I knew starting a business just sucks everything out, and the job I had before gave me a lot of latitude to create my own schedule and spend time with the kids and kind of focus on, their final school years and things. So yeah, and I was kind of getting tired of my last job. I wasn't really, into it as much as I used to. It was just getting kind of repetitive and routine. It's a great job, great money, and a fun industry, but after 20 years,
run its course.
Sometimes it run its course, right? And you want to try something new, and you get to an age where you're like, life is short. Pull the triggers on things, The other thing too is I felt just looking at the market in Charlottesville, I felt that this area could use a nano brewery. I felt all the other breweries were kind of, their trajectory was to hit the ground as fast as they could and run and get as big as they can, and which is obvious. There were some that weren't, but I wanted to get in there and be like a small batch, kind of a little different take on beer, more true to style, and kind of get away from the norm. I see trends, so I try to break them sometimes. And I don't like usually doing everything that, if I see lots of people doing something, I probably won't do that. It's just my nature. So, I felt like it just needed something, quirky, kind of hip, small batch, true to style sort of nano brewery in town to kind of open people up to learn more about classic styles of beer.
For those that don't know, define nano brewery to them.
Anything that's like smaller than, there's different definitions, but you could say 5-barrel batch or smaller. You could say smaller than 7 barrels is typically the generalized definition. But you can, I would say anything between 1 and 5 barrels would be considered nano size. Something you can brew by yourself. You don't need a team. You don't need a brew deck, and special equipment to really get in there.
So basically, if my math is right, that's somewhere around 300 gallons or less, basically.
Yeah, a barrel is 33 gallons, right? Yeah, so.
Roughly.
Exactly. So you 300 gallons or less is typically a nano.
Tell me about a time that you failed to achieve and how you overcame.
That's like an interview question.
It is, in fact.
Yeah. Well, that's how you learn. There's countless times where I failed to achieve something, and I think what you do is you just kind of you learn so you can achieve something similar or something different down the road. Gosh, there's so many examples. Because this part of learning. I guess there was definitely a time where I was, there's definitely positions I went for that I didn't get, and that was either because I didn't have the enthusiasm, like I really didn't want to do it, and it was something like on paper it looked good, but then deep down I didn't. So sometimes that would be it. There was definitely a time where there was a position that opened up that management wanted me to do, and I came in there with an idea of it, and it was just not the same idea that they wanted, and they're just like, well, we were on the different pages here, this isn't going to work. And I put a lot of time and effort into that, and I felt like that was kind of like a failure, but in a sense it was a good failure because I ended up not doing it, which would have changed the trajectory. I probably wouldn't have the brewery today. So that's a good thing, and that would have been stuck in an office and doing things I didn't like, for just more money, and I don't know if that's really what I wanted to do. I think, again, life is full of failures, and that's how you learn to achieve things. And so far so good with this place. I don't feel like I've had to make any really bad business decisions yet. So we'll see.
So let me take a different step. Did you have a mentor at any point in this business or in the prior business that helped you?
So again, back to my upbringing, being an only child with a single parent, I'm kind of one of those just solo people, so I don't lean on a lot of people for any kind of things like that. I just do it, so definitely a big no on that one. I could say I have any like true mentors. There's definitely things I look up to and I get ideas from, but I'm kind of a do-it-myself kind of person, so.
What kind of feedback do you get from the patrons here at the brewery? What, in terms of directions to move the styles, and then how do you take that feedback and how do you action it?
Most of the feedback is really good. I mean, I really like the customer base here. I've enjoyed it from day one. I really like working behind the bar too, because you get to talk to your customers and get kind of like valid, raw feedback. And I've rarely had anything negative. I mean, it's all been really fun. People like the styles. They get a flight or something, and they're like, wow, everyone is great, really like this. Or I had no idea that, I think opening people up to new things that they didn't think they would like is fun. Learning process, things like that. But yeah, all the feedback has been just propelling me to do more of what I wanted to do in the first place, So that's what kind of, pushes me forward, is to get that kind of feedback and see, the enjoyment people get out of things that I make, So yeah, I guess the most times that it really affects my business is that people are like, hey, can you do something like this? Or can you do something like that? And I whittle around and I play with it, and then I put something together and we make it happen, Or a home brewer comes in and they've got a good beer and they bring it in and they're like, really would love to see this on a bigger scale or something like that. And that's really fun too, doing some collaboration work. So yeah, but over that, I mean, I probably, from general folks, I don't get too much criticism. Whether I take it or not, I don't even know.
Talk to me about the next 18 months to 5 years. How do you see the brewery moving?
Well, I mean, right now, the original plan was to do the nano. I mean, the business model is small, nimble, low overhead, fresh beer. And so I knew that just having one location isn't going to be incredibly profitable, just because of volume. Not to say that it isn't a profitable business, but my goal is to have a couple nanos in town, to kind of spread that out a little bit, kind of utilize the different markets that Charlottesville has to offer. But I guess I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be building capital, running two nano breweries in town, and then maybe having an eye on a final resting place. Maybe buy a building. Again, keeping it small, but maybe not leasing someplace where there's some sort of sunset to the time period. Where I know I can just have a stable, rooted business, in a place where I'm not dealing with landlords and things like that. So I think that would be the final thing. In 5 years, I'd like to see maybe a final Rockfish in Charlottesville at one place. And that could be the case, or it could be where I still have multiple branches around. But we'll see.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Peter. For those that don't know, Peter and I met because I am a home brewer and came into 5th season, and we just started chatting, and has developed a nice relationship. So I want to thank you for your time. Yeah. What's the address?
900 Preston Avenue, Charlottesville, Virginia.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Peter.
You betcha.